Hello, everyone. Let's get started. Please download the Laboratory 8 and open with your Anaconda Navigator. All right. So please, please, let's get started. All right. So, please run the first script to identify your host name, username, kernel information, and the input your full name, a number, and title. Here you can see it's a internal controlled repetition, or you can just call it loops. All right, please input the number, date of your lab. In lab 6 and lab 7, we have already learned how to write a sequence, or how to write the like a conditional statement, right? How to use if to write some group of instructions determined by some conditions, right? And today we are going to learn how to use loops, right? Because it's very important. Actually, we have already used it several times. Yeah, so here's controlled repetition, structured, for loop, and a while loop. I think today we need to learn while loop first, and the next lab we will learn for loop. Okay. Here is a internal controlled repetition. So do while loop start, execute the loop body if true, and test condition if true. Do that again. If false, this loop will end. All right. Loop control is based on the value of what we are processing. The internal controlled repetition is called indefinite repetition because it's not known in advance how many times the loop will be executed. Okay, because it's based on some variables you are processing. All right, so that's the biggest difference between the while loop and the for loop. All right, because when you are using the while loop, in most cases you don't know how many times you in advance. All right. Okay, so for example, here is a loop figure, right? So it's a repetition procedure for solving a problem by using a eternal value, or it's also called a signal value or dummy value or flag value. And in the coding principles, we also use a name the counter. Okay, so as I will show you in the following programs to indicate the end of the process. Okay, so we can use both for and while loops for eternal controlled repetition, and the while loops is more common. So you can use while loop here. While loop repeats a block of instructions inside the loop while a condition remains true. Okay. For direct syntax is while condition is true, then execute A and execute B. Please make sure it's also a colon and the indentation again, the same as if keywords, right? If you use if condition is true, then colon, then indentation right here. So it's the same, it's similar. Let's see some concrete example. The first one, here is the counter is 5. So the counter would be the internal or the signal value or the flag value here, right? So, but in this program, we call it a counter here, while loop. Second one is about the while loop. While the counter is greater than 0, then print out the counter, and then decrease the counter, right? -1. So as you see, you write the first one would be 5 to 1, right? After you print out the counter is 1, consider the last loop, the counter is 1, then print out that the counter is 1, and after that -1, then the counter will be 0, right? And come back to determine the condition here. The counter would be 0, so it's not greater than 0. It's equal to 0, but not greater than 0. That's why the loop ends here. Okay, so it's very important. So please make sure you have the correct, like the last loop will be correct. Okay, because because maybe the loop is very easy to write, but in many cases, maybe the last loop will be 1 or 0. For example, if I revise here is equal to 0, then the number of the loops will be changed, and the last number will be changed, right? As you see, the last one will be 0 because the last one would be 0, and after that the counter will be -1. So it's not satisfied, so it will end. But yeah, so please make sure you have the correct condition here. So greater than or equal to. So it depends on what you need. Okay, so please make sure, please be careful about the conditions here. Okay. Yeah, so it's about this first example. Next one would be, and here is a hint. Okay, so the while loop just the discrement skip if equal in lower level languages, right? So the next structure also a loop increment skip if greater structure. So it's very classic structure in the for and while loop. All right. Next one is a while set a counter. Counter is a 0, and then while loop, and while the counter is smaller than 5. Okay, so it will end when it skip if equal. Here is this also skip if equal, and the next one we will change this line. Okay, but for now we need to figure out this program. Okay, so where counter is smaller than 5, and then print the counter, and then do the increment. Okay, so let's see it. It will start from 0, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and consider one more situation. So if I copy and then I revise here, I move it to the first line of this while loop. So what will happen? So here, in this programs, there are five loops, right? The loops have 5 times, but in this way, so how many times? If you only read this code, not run this code, can you imagine that? Can you figure out it by yourself? Okay, so when you write, it will be 4, right? So actually, sorry, 5. Actually, but the age is different, right? It's from, in this way, it's from 0 to 4, but in this way, the counter is 0. Then the counter will be, it will +1. Then it will print 1 first, right? Because for now, the first element of the counter would be 1, right? And after that, the last loop will be, the counter will be 4, right? 4 is still smaller than 5, and then do the increment is 5, right? And after that, the 5, and then print out the counter 5, but for now, it's 5 is equal to 5. So that's why counter is 5 is the last loop. It's the biggest difference, right? So I'm not sure you so any questions so far? So I think it's a little bit hard, but it's quite useful. So you need to make sure you understand it for the loop. Okay. Here is and then let's do it. Please create a new cell here on your own computer, on your own notebook, and then follow the instructions of the comments here. Okay. Do that again, but here in this way, please change the counter to smaller than or equal to 5. All right. And next one, please use this way. Counter plus equal 1. Actually, it's the same, right? Actually, this one is the same as this one, but it's simpler, right? It's simpler. So it's exactly the same as this one. Okay, so let's write and do that again to compare the results with the first one from 0 to 5. Okay, so because the last loop will be different. Last loop will be different. Okay, so because the last one, when the counter is 5, then this condition is still satisfied because it's not only smaller than, it's also include equal to. So counter is 5, then it works. It is true, then do that again. Counter is 6, then print counter is 5, and then counter is 6, but the counter is 6 is not satisfied, so it will end. So that's why here is one more loop. All right, so any questions so far? Please do that. Please create a new cell and then copy the code and do some and do the and modify this line based on the instruction. Okay. All right. So next one about the continue. Continue is very, very important. So continue instructions keeps the block of the code after it's executed for that iteration, and it is best illustrated by an example. Okay, so when you need to learn after the continuous statement, I will show you the break statement is related but very, very different. So in this example, first you declare two variables I and j, right? While I is smaller than 5, I plus 1 and j plus 2, right? And print I and j. This backslash and n means the new line command, right? So actually you have already learned that. It's a new line command. And then if j is 6, then continue. Continue means it will skip all the code after this statement. It will skip this loop and do the while loop again. Okay, so let's see it. So for example, for the first loop, it will be I is 1, j is 2, then print out I is 1 and j is 2, and then j is not 6, so it doesn't matter. It will not perform this continuous statement and then print out. This message will be skipped over j is 6, right? Print out. And the second loop, I is 2 and j is 4, and print this again. But for the third loop, I is 3 and j is 6. So in this way, j is 6, then it will perform continuous statement. Continuous statement, it means it will skip the next codes in the while loop. For instance, I will for instance, there are several more comments lines. So new one, maybe just new line, and do that again. Run again. So you see, for the first two loops, they print out this 2 times, but for the third time, when j is 6, it will perform continue. Then it will skip all the codes. Okay, skip all the codes. All right. So you see, there's nothing print out. Okay, so and after that, it will enter the next loop. Next loop will be the fourth loop, and I is 4 and j is 8. So after that, I is 4 and j is 8. So j is not equal to 6. So it will print out this again. You see this again. So only for the third loop, it will be skipped. All right, it's for the continuous statement. It means it will skip the block of code after it's executed for only that iteration. All right. So for the in this example, it's only for the third iteration. Okay, it's for the continue statement. So any questions so far? Okay, so next one is about the break. So it's a difference. It's similar, but it's very different from the continue statement or continue keyword. So you see, let me minimize here. So you see, it's very similar, but the only difference is here, right? So in this case, it's continue, but the next one is break, right? And the break will skip the block of the code and end the loop. Not for that iteration, it will end the loop forever. Okay, so it means, so let's try it. Right, and then you see it will end here. So can you see the difference here? In this case, it will only skip the codes for that iteration, but for the break keyword, if you see the break keyword, then it will end the loop. Okay, so not only skip the code, and it will not enter the next loop. It will just jump out of the loops. Okay, so it will end the iterations, end the loops. So it's a difference. It's the biggest difference. So very important. All right. So please make sure to use the correct continue. So if you only want to skip the code for that iteration, please use continue. If you want to just end the iterations, please use a break keyword. Okay. See. Okay, so it's biggest difference. And any questions so far? All right. So next one is very important. It's useful for debugging your codes. Okay, so it's called the try and accept structure. So important control structure for error trapping structure is try and accept. So statement controls how programs proceeds when an error occurs in that instruction. So the structure is really useful to trap likely errors divided by 0 or wrong kind of input. And I will show you how to trap this error in the following labs. Not today. Today we are going to learn how to use this divide by 0, and we will let the program keep running and at least issue a meaningful message to the users. The syntax would be try, do something, and accept, do something. Actually, here will be some indentation, so before the do something. Okay, so let's see some concrete examples. The first one here is the simple but important example. X is 12.0. So it means it's a float number, not an integer, right? So in this way, it's an integer. But if you use the decimal point, it is a float number, not an integer number. And then do the while loop. While is greater than or equal to negative 12 point. Then sentinel control the repetition and do try print out x and y and do x divided by y, and then print out error divided by 0, and then y do the decrement, okay, by 1, decrement by 1. So here means you need to try to print it first. If it works, no errors, then it will ignore the accept structure. Okay, so only if there are some errors with this statement, it will try to perform this accept statement and print out something else, but it will still run the program run other codes. Okay, so let's try it. So you see, for the first one, 12, for the first line, x is 12, y is 12, then print out this one, x divided by is 1.0, right? It doesn't matter. And for the second loop is 11, so this way, right? So for the 12th loop, y is 0, y is 1.0, then x divided by is 12, right? But for the next loop of y is 0, y is 1, then y is 0, right? Y is 0, it will perform x is 12, y is 0, and then x divided by y. It's not meaningful, right? It's not meaningful in mathematics. So here is some error. Then there will be some errors of these statements. That's why here it will perform the next except structure. Then it will perform error divided by 0. So this message is determined by you. You can use this way to tell other users there's some errors here, okay? Error divided by 0, but for the next one, for the negative one, for -1, -2, or -12, they are all works, right? So so when you are not sure, we are not sure your codes or some length of your codes are correct or not, we are not sure, please use this. You use this try and accept the structure and put some lines here, put some lines in the try structure. When you are not sure, and then accept and pass some messages for you. Okay, so it's very important. It help you to to trap the errors, or when you are not sure it's correct or not, you can use this way to make sure you can let your programs keep running. Okay, so let's see another example. So if you don't use this way, if you don't use the try and accept structure, for example, so here is okay, so it is to illustrate the code. Okay, so I minimize here and minimize here. So let's check out these two examples. It's very similar, right? So x and y declaration and a while loop, and then this one is the same, right? So the only difference is you use this way. You put this statement in the try structure in the good code, and here is a bad code. Okay, the second one is a bad code. So you are not sure it's correct or not, and then you put it here and run it. So before y is 0, then they are all good. But when y is 0, then you will have an error. Error means 0 division error. So float division by 0. Then it is as you see here is an error here. It means this line could be some there are mistakes in this line. Okay, so that's why here is an error here, and then the error, the type of error is the float division by 0. Okay, so but if you use this way, to put this print in the try structure and do that again, so when y is 0, then it will print out the accept structure. Okay, so yeah, it works. In this way, it works, but in this way, it will end. Okay, so it will end at y 0. So when you want to let your program keep running and have all the results, you need to use the try and accept structure. Okay. So please run the last example and show me the errors. Okay, show me the error. Just show me the errors. Okay, so any questions so far? It's very important. I think it will help you to write your programs correctly. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Repeat again. Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. For now, I can hear.
Okay, so just a quick question on this. So the accept command will activate with any error.
Yes, it will activate with any error.
Okay.
Yeah. So and here print out something. You can determine the message. Yeah. So accept, and here, for example, here is maybe you can just copy here float division by 0. Let me show you one more question. One more. For example, here is determined by u. Okay. So yeah, you see float division by 0. So any kind of error. Yeah. So Katie, leave the error shown when submitting. Yes, please show the error when you submit your work. Yeah, show me the error. Show me this error. So this float division is by 0 is like a common error, and then you see here like likely errors. So wrong kind of input is also a common error, and I will show you how to trap this error in the next lab. Okay, in the next lab I will show you. So in this lab I will only show you this example, simple example. Okay, so the last one, here's some documents. You can read it by yourself if you are interested. And last exercise is today is a little bit hard. So below is the code intends to increment x from 0 to 6 and calculate the y, use different method in different between. So x is 0, then y should be x. X is 1, y should be x times x. Else y should be x plus 2. However, there are a few errors. Actually, there are many errors here. Please fix it and comment to explain your fix. So when you fix something, please leave the comments. Please make sure to leave the comments, okay? And here you see, you can ignore that because it's only used to do the formatting, to do the format. Give you a beautiful format of the output. Okay, so as the same as this way. So it's used to to have some formats of your output. Okay, so I will give you some hints. First one you need to check. It's an increment from 0 to 6. Okay, please check well. Check the while statement. Because it's used to represent the increment of x from 0 to 6. And the second one, check the indentation. The indentation is correct or not, because for the while keyword and for the if keyword, they all need the indentations, right? And the next one, you need to make sure it's from 0 to 6, from 0 to 6. So please make sure the place of this one is correct or not. This line, the place, not this code, is a place is correct or not. Okay, because it's used to represent x and y. And then let me think. I think that's all the questions, maybe, perhaps. Yeah, I think that's all. And then please check if and else if they are correct or not. I think they are correct, but you need to check them again. Okay, so please follow the hints here and correct this code, and I will show you the result. Okay, so it is a result. Please make sure to have this result. Okay. But for now, if you write it, you see it's there's some intended block, right? So because here is some indentation, so please make sure there are many errors, and the result I want is in this way. Okay, from 0, please make sure from 0 to 6. Okay, from 0 to 6, and this formatting is determined by these two lines. So don't worry. Okay, so you just need to focus on the syntax of the while statement. All right. So yeah, so that's all I want to share today. Please make sure to submit your work by the end of Friday, not Friday's lab, the end of Friday. Okay. All right. So if you don't have any other questions, please feel free to leave the meeting. Thank you guys, and have a nice day. And if you have errors, you can stay here. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm still confused on what the %4.f means. Like I know we covered that a while ago, but
You mean which one?
it's no. It's just in the current lab. It's the last example, the %4.f. That's like in the line. It's the last example, the one you were just talking about.
Last example, this one?
No. The one at the very end, the one that we have to do on our own.
Oh, you mean this one, right?
Yeah. What does that do?
Oh, this one. And if you remember in the lab 6, let me show you. I think I can show you. Maybe I can remind you here. Lab 5, I think. Oh no, lab 5, lab 6. Oh, lab 4 even. Okay, so here is the example. If you remember, right? So here is about the formatting, how to formatting the output, right?
Right.
Percentage is about how to format, and then you use this way. I told you, this percentage, the decimal point and 3, F means the float number. It means you want to print out some float, right? Some float number, and then 3 means it will get the first 3 digits after the decimal point. For example, here, if you remember.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, so for example, 0.0. See, you see here, if you use the 4, then it will have 4 digital points after the decimal point, right? So here is 3. That's why it is only 3. But if you put it as the left, for example, here is 5. Maybe try again. Then you see, it will give you if 5 means you want to have 5 digits before the decimal point, and if it is smaller than 5 digit, then it will have 2 spaces. That's why here, if you write, so it means 4 means the as you see here. That's why here there are 3 spaces before the
3 spaces. Okay.
Yeah. It's just used to like formatting the output, right? Because there's only 0. There is only 1 digit. So that's why here is they all have 3 more spaces, right? So it's like beautiful. Yeah, so that's why here I use
What
this.
tells it to do spaces instead of decimal places, though?
Actually, spaces. Because in any other ways, it's hard to have like a certain number of spaces. So only use it this way, you can have like the certain numbers of digits to set. That's why I use it. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Sure.
Hey, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you.
Sweet. I drove home after class today, so I was just a little bit late. I missed the very first code you ran.
For very first, you mean
the while counter?
This one?
Yeah, I didn't know if you could re-explain that one more time, just kind of like what's going on. And I just wanted to check and make sure that you only want two, you wanted to copy and paste that below.
Oh, you this one, right? So here,
Okay.
this one, please copy the second one and follow the instructions from the comments here, right? Because in this
Oh,
one, we use only smaller than 5 and then use this line, right? But you need to do that again to use smaller than or equal to.
oh, can I see yours for just a second? Because I
Okay,
changed
sure.
it before I changed it before I copied it.
Yeah, the output would be different.
Counter plus one.
Yeah,
Counter equals counter plus one. Okay. Okay. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I'm gonna copy it.
yeah.
Okay.
Set up with no errors, but our trapping getting is all the way up to only 0, 0 on the chart. Yeah. 0, 0 on the chart.
Let's see. So now I got counter 0 through 5. Okay, what did I do? What did I just switch?
You just need to revise this operator. This not the operator is
Yeah, I did revise it. I was just wondering, like, I was trying to decipher what I just did in the code by revising it.
yeah, but just revise here and this one, and you have the different result. And I would let just you to read the difference, why they are different. So that's all. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So next question. So no errors, but get 0 to 0. So if you have only 0 to 0 and 0, then I think perhaps. Sorry, which one? Print 0 and 0 event. I think you have the wrong structure of this else if. Perhaps you only perform this if statement, not other statements. So please make sure to have the correct indentation of this if and else if. Okay. So that's my hint. Because actually, they all should be controlled by this while statement. All right. But maybe perhaps I think perhaps your code, the if is not in the group of the instructions of while statement. It's independent from this while statement. That's my guess, but I'm not sure because I cannot tell you the answers. Yeah. I have the meaning, but it starts from x1, y and 1. So that's why I told you here. Perhaps you need to remove it to the end. Okay? Yeah. Please consider as the top and the end. Okay. Yeah. Go further from doesn't matter how we get there. I still relate the same code, but I can change what I think. Yeah, actually you can do that because only if you can use the code to answer this question. To answer this question, if you change it a lot, it's fun, but you can still solve the problem of this exercise. Yeah, that's fun for me. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too. Thank you. So I will, so any other questions? All right, I will end here and see you guys on Friday.